Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Knitting Texan podcast. My name is Rin, also known as Knitting Texan on Ravelry, and this is my knitting podcast, or at least it's supposed to be. It's been a couple months since I've recorded an episode, and that's mostly because school is now in full swing, and with assignments and exams, it's very hard for me to, number one, knit, and number two, record a podcast. So thank you all for your patience and your support while I've been gone. I don't really know how often I'm going to be able to do episodes, but I'll just make them when I have stuff to show. So I actually have a couple finished objects to show today, actually quite a few more than I was expecting. I went back and looked at my Ravelry project pages just to see what I've shown last or what was finished last. So yeah, I guess let's just go ahead and jump into finished objects. The first one is this pair of socks that I knit for myself. This is knit in a Yarnable colorway from last year. I believe it was last November, but I don't actually know that for sure because I didn't have Yarnable last year. I did get it this year, but I didn't have Yarnable last year, and so I bought these guys on Destash, or the ones that from last year that I bought on Destash, this being one of them. So anyways, I made a pair of shorty socks, and these are knit on US size 1 DPNs, and they are 56 stitches, and I just use the Crazy Sock Ladies cuff down vanilla sock, except instead of doing a cuff and a leg, I just go with, I think it's 8 rounds of 1x1 rib, and then I just go straight into the heel flap and gusset. So yeah, I don't remember how many rows for the foot. It's different for each person. Although I think my gauge is changing, and so for socks for me, I may have to go up to 64 stitches and just make the foot shorter. So you can do it like me, where mine are kind of skinny, just kind of like a compression sock, I guess, but they have to be longer proportionally so that it fits my foot. So yeah, that's these socks. I believe that these were a whip last time, but I don't actually remember for sure. But they were on my Ravelry project page as having been finished since my last podcast. So yeah, really excited about these. These are actually really. I don't know that I've worn these very often. They don't look like they've been worn considering they've been done for 2 months or a month. But yeah, I believe these were entered into summer sock camp, which is now over by like a month almost. And I had a lot of fun with summer sock camp as the semester started. I kind of fell off the wagon as far as knitting because I was doing stuff for school. But yeah, I had a lot of fun this year with summer sock camp. I didn't win anything. If you have participated in summer sock camp and haven't seen the winners list, Kay did just upload a video where she went over the winners on Instagram and Ravelry. I don't have Instagram, so I wasn't able to look at the winners list until she posted it on YouTube. But just a little tidbit for you guys. But yeah, that's pair of socks. And then next, I have this pair of socks. And again, I don't know if these were finished or if I showed these on the last podcast. Those who are returning may know. Which, by the way, if you are a returning viewer, thank you for returning. And if you are new, thank you for spending the time to test out my podcast. Hopefully you won't get turned off by the fact that I haven't podcasted in 2 months. But this is the next pair of socks. This is done in Korea. Why do I always have trouble with this? Tina's Terrific Threads in the 12-foot deep colorway. I believe she just listed this as one of a kind second sale. But I believe this is her 12-foot deep colorway, but I got it in a second sale. So yours might look different. I don't know. So how different? The colors are looking a little vibrant on my screen, but but yeah. I just, again, this is a 64 stitch sock instead because these are not for me. They're for a gift. And so they are 64 stitches. And then just like with my my other shorties, US size 1 DPNs, and then I 8 rounds. Words. 8 rounds of 1x1 ribbing, and then go straight into the heel flap and gusset. This mini, I don't actually know or remember where it's from. Probably got it with some other sock set, and I broke it up. I broke up the sock set. Cardinal said, "Don't break up sock sets." But not really. But sorry. But yes, this is just a blue mini, and it's 75-25, I believe. Both of these are 75-25, so it's not a big deal. And even sometimes, like if I have an 80-20, I'll use a 75-25 mini because it has more nylon in it, and this is typically where you wear out socks, or at least where I do, or where people in my family do. They wear out their socks right there. So yeah, that's my second finished object. I don't have my sock blockers near me. Otherwise, I would put it on a sock blocker. This is kind of an impromptu. I need to record a podcast. It's been 2 months, and plus I've got a bunch of stuff relatively. Yeah, that's second finished object. And for the third one, I actually have this pair of socks. This is a pair of socks that I actually started for the first NFL game, I believe, which was the Bills and somebody. Remember? Oh, the Rams. But yeah, I started this pair of socks then for that game, and like I said, I'm knitting socks super slow. Like usually it would take me like a week, maybe two, to knit a pair of socks. Right now, I'm averaging at about 3 to 5 weeks, so like more close to a month, which is fine. I'm still knitting. I mostly am just using it for stress relief, which is great. Just to kind of sit and not think about something but your hands are still moving is really relaxing for me. And it also helps me kind of get out some of the not nervous energy, I guess it could be. I guess it could be. I don't know. The I don't know. Keep my hands busy. I don't know. Words are hard. So anyways, this is and Lolo did its everyday sock. This is a one of a kind, so you can't actually get this, but you may already, if you have bought this is the New Year's Eve one of a kind, I think. Now I'm not sure if it was a one of a kind. This was last year, I believe. I bought this last year. So, but it turned out as a really pretty colorway. I'm really happy with how it pulled. I really don't like flashing, but I prefer it if it's more even across the sock. So I really enjoyed this pair. This pair was a lot of fun, and it was fun to knit on it while I was watching the football game. But yeah, all these socks are basically the same recipe. Like the bigger ones are 64 stitch. These are 64 stitch, and then the tiny ones are 56. So yeah, it's basically the same formula over and over again, which is nice because again, I don't have to think as hard. The only part that I really have to pay attention is with the heel flap and gusset, and then the gusset decreases. The heel flap, heel turn, and then gusset decreases is more what I meant to say, I guess. Yeah, I have. And in case y'all are curious, this pair of socks only takes up 50 grams or a little less than 50 grams. So I am actually able to get 2 pairs of adult-sized. This is like a men's size 11, 10 and a half to 11, give or take, depending on how wide your foot is or how wide, I don't know. It takes about 50 grams. But yeah, I really like this colorway and this yarn base. This yarn base is really nice. And it kind of fills in the holes that I can sometimes get. It's a very fun base to knit with. And I'm rambling today, sorry. And then the final pair of socks that I've knit. This is a month-long pair of socks, which I don't know if I've had a sock be on the needles or a pair of socks be on the needles for a month. Probably since I started knitting, if at all, ever. Knitting socks, not knitting socks ever since I started knitting socks. This is probably the longest standing sock whip I've had. And that's partially because I was working on other things, and I'll get to that in a bit. But this is my final finished pair of socks, I have one more finished object. This is Woolberry Fiber Co. And it was a sock set that I didn't break up. Didn't break up the sock set. This was the Valley of Madgris, something like that. It's on my project page, which my Ravelry will be linked in the description box below, so you can go and check out my projects if you so desire to. But anyways, this is the same formula as the other socks, the bigger socks that I showed you. 64 stitches on US size 1, DPNs, 8 rounds of 1x1, not twisted. What am I thinking? 1x1 ribbing that goes straight into the heel flap and gusset. So one thing that I found with tutorials that do contrasting heel flaps and gusset, they have you start the new color in the middle, like especially with DPNs, they have you start it. So this part of the sock, when you do the heel flap and heel turn, this part will be on a needle, and then you'll have these two parts on a needle each, right? And so you'll eventually transfer the heel turn to 2 needles. And so what I will typically do is, instead of starting the new color in the middle, which is technically the new beginning of round until you start doing the gusset decreases, I will actually start the new color on, I guess, this side. Sorry, I had to think about it. This side of the heel flap. So when I'm moving all these stitches that are on one needle, the 2 needles, I will actually start changing the color. And so that way I don't get like this little blip of where it starts the new round. And it's seamless then, which is kind of like a small kind of OCD kind of something. But yeah, I enjoy doing that because then it doesn't have the little thing where you have a jog. It just goes straight. It just goes straight across the heel turn. Yeah, I really liked this sock set. It's an 80-20 base, which is a little plumper, but it turned out really nice. I really liked all the surprises of green in there. I was kind of just expecting it to be teal and brown, but it's turned into, it's got a lot of other colors in there, which was really nice to see. Probably where the yarn mixed. It's a little different on screen. It's a little bluer on screen than it is in real life. It's a little greener in real life, but yeah, I really enjoyed knitting this pair of socks. And again, it's my longest standing sock whip that I've had. It was like from September 19th to October 19th, like exactly a month. And so, say that right? September 19th to October 19th. Sorry, my brain is so, it's gone. But yeah, this pair of socks was a lot of fun. And again, I could get this pair of socks in 50 grams. Now the mini is not really usable that much, especially because I did contrasting toes, which I don't typically do. Normally I will do just straight this color all the way to the end. You may have seen it in this pair of socks where I didn't use the contrasting mini for the toe. I just did the self-striping all the way down to the toe. But for this pair of socks, but for this pair of socks, I did contrasting toe, and so the mini that was left over afterwards wasn't enough really to do like the cuff and the heel on a pair of shorty socks. And so I'm actually thinking of putting maybe my leftovers up on my Destash, because I can get one pair of socks in 50 grams, and then I don't typically knit another pair of socks out of the same color because I get bored. Now this guy, I'm gonna keep and probably do another pair of socks out of this because I really like this colorway. But like this guy, I may put the extra of the main color up on my Destash, which will also be linked down below. I have a Destash Etsy shop that's a part of my business's Etsy shop. If you're interested, which you don't have to look it up or look at it. My last finished object is actually something that I discussed in my last podcast as something that I wanted to cast on, which I casted on and finished in between that podcast and this one. So that is a Musselburgh hat that I got from yarn on a Destash. Well, it's a little later in the day, and so the colors are a little weird, But this is like it's really hard to describe this color because it's technically charcoal, but in some lights it looks navy blue, like really dark navy blue. And I have a really dark, well, not really dark, a navy blue jacket. Let's just call it a navy blue jacket. And so I wanted a hat that matched it. And so I found this, what looks like kind of blue yarn off of Destash. It's a, let me get the project back. It's Lavender Loom Yarn Co. It's something that I've never used before. It was a new dyer for me. It's in the colorway Deep Frost, and it's on her, I guess it would be an yak base because this is a 70-20-10 superwash merino yak and nylon. So it's got yak in there, which is really nice for cold weather hats. For hats. My brain, I swear. And so, yeah, I knit this for when it gets colder this semester. Here in Central Texas, we get very windy in the colder months, like fall and winter. It will get very windy, and so like a multi-layer hat is really nice. So even though it's, you know, I don't know, 48, let's say, or not 48. Well, yeah, maybe 48. I would wear a hat. It's multi-layer, so it's less likely to get wind in there. But yeah, I ended up knitting this on a 2, I believe, a US size 2, which I don't remember what that is in millimeters. Sorry. Maybe a 2.5. Could be wrong. But this base is actually thinner than bases I've used for the Musselburgh in the past, and so this hat ended up smaller. And so it's very tight, but I may try and put it on, which may make my hair go crazy, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I may just edit this out if it's crazy, but definitely crazy. But I made it kind of long to wear it, and you may have seen the other color in there, but made it kind of long so that it folds up quite a bit. I don't know if you can see there, it's a little bit of a dark color, and I can't see very well because I don't have my glasses on. But yeah, this is the hat. It's very snug and it's very warm, which is kind of what I wanted. Now it does make me look a little funny because because it's so tight, but I don't mind it. I'd rather the hat not fall off. I don't mind like a little bit of compression with that. So, and my hair's not that crazy from the hat. And on the inside, I actually did another color because I had a leftover from a pair of socks that I knit because I can knit a pair of shorty socks in 50 grams. And I used this self-striping sock yarn because I wanted to see what it would look like. And this is also a yak base, so that's why I chose to use it. But yeah, it's also kind of in my soccer team's colors, and so I thought it was cool. And so I made it to where it would have the solid color as the brim. So I could have just the solid this color, or this color with a solid of this. And you see the color kind of comes the color kind of comes down lower, and so there's no chance of you seeing this color, you know, because that would drive me crazy if I put this on and you could see like a band of this color. I want to just be able to throw the hat on without having to do it in the mirror, to where it looks like it's meant to be this way, you know. So yeah, this is my Musselburgh hat. I probably, if I were to knit this again in this kind of a base, I would probably go up a size or at least a couple stitches. This is an adult medium, so I don't know how many more stitches. I don't remember how many more stitches the adult large is, but I may go up to an adult large for the rest of this if I were to knit this again with the same yarn, which I do still have enough to make another one of these hats with the yarn I had. So I've got a bit left over of that, and then this is the leftover of the leftover. It's a lot smaller, which is nice. But yeah, this is my last finished object, and I'm going to take it off. hopefully not make it too crazy. But yeah, I enjoyed knitting those. Those were nice to have kind of like on breaks, mostly on weekends, or if I just needed a break from studying and working and whatnot. Sorry. So yeah, that's all my finished objects. Now my head's kind of cold because I have a fan on. Because the hat is so warm. Yak is very warm and also very soft, and I find it not as itchy as, say, like more wool. Like, hard to explain. Like an 80-20, like a BFL. Let's say like a BFL, Yak is going to definitely be softer. Yak is softer. It's kind of like cashmere, but it's softer. It's a soft fiber. Sorry, my brain is, again, I am so fried from the semester so far. So, whip number 1 in this bag, and this bag is by, oh, what is her name? Amy of Noble Character Crafts. This is my first bag from her, actually, and this is my second one, which is where I have my Musselburgh hat, and then it's where it's got the leftovers. So I kind of went on a shopping spree of her bags because I've always wanted one of her bags, and I've just never been able to get in on the update. And I got to her podcast in a reasonable time before the update and set an alarm, and I was able to get these 2 bags from one update, which I really like this bag. I wish I could have gotten it in the small size instead of the medium, but I don't care. I love the print. It's very pretty, and I really enjoyed the butterflies on it as well. And then this one was kind of, I like blue. Blue's my favorite color, so why not? So I've kind of switched all my projects over into Noble Character Craft bags, but this is my bigger one. And if you've never had one of her bags before, she does drawstring, and she has really good fabric taste. I really like the fabric she chooses. And on the inside of her bags, she has this little claw clip, and it comes with stitch markers, 6 stitch markers on it. Not stitch markers. No, stitch markers. All right. Sorry. Words are hard. But yeah, it comes with one of those on a ring on the inside, and for socks, it's great because you can switch out those ring stitch markers for like light bulb ones if you use that to count the rows. So in this bag is my sweater that has disappeared for a little bit on this channel, and this is my Nordiska by Caitlin Hunter, I believe, and I finished the yoke, but y'all have already seen that. And I finished one sleeve. If you're returning, you've already seen this. If you're new here, this is my Nordiska. I finished the yoke. It's a raglan sweater, and usually it has cables and these strips of stockinette, but I didn't want to venture into the realm of cables. Knitting a sweater was already a new thing for me, and I didn't want to add on cables as well. You may see this line, kind of folding line here, like right here on the sweater, and that's because I blocked it when it was right there. And this sweater has color work on the bottom of the sleeves and on the bottom of him on the body. And so I completed one sleeve, I think. I'm not really sure. I haven't decided if this is the length that I want to keep the sleeves or if I want to go full length. But yeah, this is the color work on the sleeve. I am using Cascade Heritage in some gray color, like dark gray color. And then I'm using half of Amandy's Makings Share Pair. This is in the Old Farm Truck colorway. I destashed half of a Share Pair, and then this is the half that I kept. Or half of the half I kept. And then the last is this little white mini. And it's not really cream. It's kind of an actual white. It's much lighter than some of the other creams I have, and it comes off more white, which I'd prefer for this knit because both of the other colors are cool colors, and so having a warmer cream looks weird to me. But maybe that's just me. So yeah, that's so what I've done since last time, aside from the yoke and the sleeve, is quite a few inches of the body. I've also started increasing because I want to make this full length. I think the original is cropped. I am not a cropped kind of girl. I don't really like to wear cropped stuff because I'm constantly pulling it down, and I just haven't been able to venture into cropped stuff. Unless maybe I'm wearing a dress, maybe I would be able to do that. But anyways, I started increasing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase until I get to the the third size. So I'm originally knitting the extra small, which I believe is a 38-inch bust size circumference. And that'll give me a couple inches of positive ease, not a lot, like an inch. I think that's how that works. Like an inch of positive ease. And then on the bottom, I'm increasing to a 40-inch. So I believe that's 60 stitches that I'm increasing, which is quite a bit. But I'm increasing on the edge where the sleeve is. So you can kind of see it there. It's increasing out from the original shape. And what I should have done is started it up here, but I didn't think to increase until here. So if anything, this is my first sweater and it'll look goofy. I don't know. I'm thinking it'll be fine though. But yeah, I've put quite a bit of work on this sweater. It looks like I've done like 4 or 5 inches in the body. And I've got about half of the increases that I need to do done. I need to do 15 increases. I think I've done 7 or 8. I don't remember. And yeah, I'm using not Chalgu for once. This is Knitter's Pride or Knit Picks. They're basically the same needle. Knitter's Pride, the Dreams, and this is on a size. Remember right? Oh great, it's rubbed off. I think these are a size 4, but it's rubbed off the needle. I think this is a size 4, and the cable is not a Knitter's Pride cable, as you may be able to tell. It's not as like pinky as the others. This is actually Lantern Moon cable, which is more similar to Chalgu cable because it's like a braided cable, and it's silver, but it fits these guys, and so it acts more like a Chalgu cable, which I prefer. But I also prefer, like for knitting big projects like this, I prefer wooden because I find myself knitting really slowly with metal because I don't want to drop the stitches, or I want to knit the stitches correctly instead of messing it up or twisting them or whatever. But yeah, that's my first whip. That's still here, and I don't have a lot of whips because up until last week, I still had this hat and this pair of socks as a whip. So I finished these two in like the last week, or yeah, week and a half, week-ish. So yeah, that is my first whip, is my Nordiska, and I'm really enjoying it as a sweater whip. I kind of wish I had started with a worsted weight sweater or a DK weight sweater instead of a fingering weight sweater. Kind of not the greatest idea as a new sweater knitter, I think, because it's taken me so long to knit the sweater. I did get a couple of sweater quantities on Destash that are DK and worsted, and so I'm going to try and knit myself maybe a Christmas. Oh boy, maybe a Christmas sweater for me out of it. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let me just put it under my desk has a shelf underneath it, and that's where I keep my knitting projects. So, by the way, if you hear any weird certain noises that sound like something that's rude, that's actually my chair. It makes a horrible noise that sounds like a dog growling or like bathroom noises. It's really awkward when I'm recording videos because sometimes it'll come up and sometimes it won't. So if you do hear that, it's not me, I promise. It's my chair. Yeah, and another Noble Character crafts bag, which I actually added this myself. I just have a light bulb stitch marker. I don't know if you can see that sticking in there, and then I just got a little round part sticking out, and that's where I put my charms that were on my previous bag that I was using for gift socks. Kind of what those mark is whether or not this is a gift sock bag, the gift sock bag. But anyways, this is a Noble Character Crafts bag. It's from her most recent update, and I just couldn't pass up this fabric. It's so pretty. Old farm trucks and barns. But I do also really love the colors. Like blue, teal and orange and red are just really pretty. With some green. And then I like the fabric she chose. Yeah, I really enjoyed the drawstring bag as well. And then inside is Orange Gingham. The others are not as spectacular, I don't think. Not that they're not amazing. I think it's just like a green inside, which is great too. So in this bag, I have another sock whip, which is my current one that I will be taking to campus. Although I started this over the weekend, and so I haven't taken it to campus yet. So this is my school project, and this is in Ashen Bumble. This is actually 2 yarns. This is a mini of like a light gray that I have again from a sock set. And then the main color is from Ashen Bumble. It's called Abalone Shell. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure. This is actually kind of a data science joke. Because one of the data sets you can use for data science is for abalones. And so it's going to be a gift. And so the person should get the joke. So it's kind of an inside joke. But I also really like the blue and green color. Abalone shells are really pretty, but colorway is kind of more muddied, I guess, than I'm used to. But it's an 80-20 blend, and 80-20 tends to be a little bit more muddy than a 75-25. 75-25 tends to be more sharp, I think. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to focus, but I don't think it's going to cooperate. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm glad I decided to do this contrasting. And then there you can see pretty clearly the straight line instead of having a jog in the middle. Where Kay, specifically, that's where I got the tutorial from. Where Kay's, the way that she has you do it, starts like right here. And so you have like this little jog in the sock. But yeah, this is on 9-inch circulars. It's also US size 1. But I started it on DPNs. I literally just switched these to 9-inch because I finished the gusset decreases. But yeah, really like these pair of socks. This is 64 stitches. And I may also put the leftovers of this because again, 50 gram. So I have half a skein left usually, but I may also knit myself a pair of socks, especially because it's an inside joke. And having matching pair of abalone socks, I think would be funny. I just need to find like a good iris one too, because that's another data set that's kind of overused in data science. The iris data set, but here's the colorway in the skein. It's got a lot of like oranges and reds in it, which I think is really interesting. I didn't really see them as much in the skein, but in the cake you can definitely see like the reds and the oranges, especially like right there. And some pink there too. But yeah, it's a really pretty colorway. I really enjoy these. I really enjoy knitting the socks. I enjoy having them because it's just something I can do while I'm in limbo or if I need a break. While I'm on break, when I need a break. Brain is fried. So yeah, anyways, that's, I believe, everything. I kind of did acquisitions as I went along, which are these bags, which I'm really enjoying. They're really nice to just kind of stuff in my backpack, but they still keep all my knitting stuff contained and away from everything else, or keep from getting lost in my bag and also possibly lost on campus, which would be kind of stressful. I did think I lost a DPN on campus, and I was like, what are people going to think when they find that? Just like this long metal needle, like, what is this, a torture whip? Or the devil sticks, I think is what Ruth Lifts Knit calls it, which I think is really funny. Yeah, luckily it was in my backpack, so I didn't have to buy a whole new set of DPNs just for one lost DPN. Like that would be so annoying. I think if you have to buy a whole set of like 4 or 5 DPNs for losing one. But yeah, I think that's everything I have. My crochet blankets I'm keeping up with, which is nice. So as I get scraps, so like when I split this guy into 50 grams, whatever is left over from that 50 gram that I used to knit these pair of socks, I put it into my blankets. So I legitimately have like 50 to 55 grams that are just completely untouched for each pair of socks I knit, pretty much. Yeah, I believe that's everything. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I should probably finish this up because it's kind of getting darker. I can kind of see along the edges getting darker. So yeah, thank you guys so incredibly much for watching and for continuing to like and subscribe to my channel and commenting on my videos. It's so fun to see your comments, even though sometimes I think I accidentally missed a comment, and I think that's because my email wasn't working. It's supposed to email me when I get a comment, but sometimes it doesn't do that. So I'm sorry if I miss your comment, but I will eventually see it and I will eventually comment back. But I'm going to try and be more vigilant and continue to look at it more often. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.